sir.
Very well, sir. Thank you.
I just want to start by saying I thought you did a tremendous job with this. I'm so impressed. This is your first feature. Mm-hmm. I'm just curious how you effing did this, because you really did such an amazing job.
In a weird way, without knowing it, all the short films I made was, was a real sort of preparation for this film. My first film that I had made was called Azadi, and it was about the plight of Afghan refugees in the outback detention centres in Woomera in South Australia. I was studying law. I didn't study film, I studied law in Australia. And I'd read in the newspaper a lot about, how the refugees that were coming to Australia really had sinister intentions, and this was all in the news media. In my readings in law, I saw a very different tale. I saw that, these were people running from, genuine hardship, violence, and terror, and I felt it was a story that really needed to be told. I'd read a lot of the court case transcripts and testimonies where they had gone to the Refugee Review Tribunal in Australia, and this is not a story that was getting out there. So I had gone with, this is a long answer, but I'll condense it. I had gone with a camera team down to the Woomera Detention Centre where there was meant to be a protest, a peaceful protest. It turned out to be a riot, and the detainees on the inside, who had suffered really horrific conditions, pulled apart their bunk beds and broke open the fence, and over 100 escaped. And we got this as footage on 16mm footage, and it was just such compelling stories of tales of hardship and oppression, but also of people just trying to sort of find a better life. And we used a lot of this real life newsreel footage that we shot ourselves into what became Azadi, which was a short film about an Afghan father trying to protect his son. The reason I bring that up is because that that technique of blending together real footage together with narrative footage is something which ended up serving us very well in Hotel Mumbai. We didn't have the budget or the inclination to try and recreate everything, and so to try and get a sense of authenticity and realism into the film beyond the script and characters, came through pouring through hundreds of hours of footage of the actual Mumbai attacks. Second to that, I made a film called The Palace, which was set during the 1974 invasion of Cyprus, the Turkish invasion of Cyprus. It was a true story about a young mother trying to protect her children and a young soldier forced to kill against his will. And it had a lot of thematic and tonal similarities to Hotel Mumbai. It was also a really difficult and crazy logistical effort shooting along the United Nations Green Line in Cyprus. And the same team members that we used to make those films ended up coming onto Hotel Mumbai. So my cinematographer, Nick Matthews, who's from my local hometown of Adelaide, Australia, who shot all my short films, came on to do this. Julie Ryan, who produced The Palace, came on to do Hotel Mumbai. And so, all of these factors, I think, subconsciously did come together, and, it was a training ground in a way, albeit unknowingly, that led us into this movie that was Hotel Mumbai.
One thing that I thought that you did such a brilliant job with was blending all sides of this, showing all sides, and you really showed how the terrorists were easily prime targets for radicalization.
Of course.
Could you sort of talk about that?
Yeah. We went through over 3,000 pages of court case transcripts of Ajmal Kasab, the sole surviving gunman. And this included his video confession, and it also included wiretaps, or not wiretaps, but phone intercepts that were made between the terrorist and their handlers back in Pakistan. And these intercepts by the Indian security services really gave a blow-by-blow account of what the terrorists were being told and what they were saying to one another throughout the duration of the attacks. And those intercepts, together with thousands of pages of court materials which went through the where they came from and the sort of impoverished backgrounds and the difficulties they had themselves faced, really allowed us to get into the sort of psychology of what drove these young men to terror. And it's the same as in the case of many extremists. It's bred by ignorance, by lack of education, and frankly by sociopaths who, whichever ideology they're spouting, they're looking to get naive people to do their bidding. And that was the case with what happened in Mumbai. These were extremists first and foremost, and the film is really a plea for peace. and a denouncement of any kind of violence against against people for any means.